While the media is focusing our attention on the coronavirus, the 2020 presidential election is receiving a lot less attention nowadays. That may be a welcome respite for many of us, but while the Chinese communists grasp with a sinking economy amidst the coronavirus in their home country, how many of us are aware that organized groups of Chinese communists and their supporters are working to manipulate U.S. elections? In fact, they've already started winning elections. We'll look at the latest report from the New American Magazine in this episode of Analysis Behind the News, where we provide the perspective that you can use to help save American liberty and independence. Helping to save American liberty and independence. That's more than just our tagline for this show. We show you where and how you can make a difference. So recall the large and peaceful Second Amendment rally held in Virginia in late January. Do you remember why this rally was being held? Democrats running for office promised a flurry of gun control measures, and when the state legislature flipped to their side, they began to make good on their promises. The New American reported that even before these folks could take office, towns, cities, and counties across the state declared they would not recognize or enforce any unconstitutional gun laws. And within a mere 6 weeks, more than 40 counties had adopted Second Amendment protecting resolutions. Eventually, 91 out of 95 counties declared themselves to be Second Amendment sanctuaries. So how did such a Second Amendment supporting state get to be led by such anti-gun politicians? Well, with that, let me introduce you to Ms. Trom Nguyen. She is co-executive director of New Virginia Majority. And according to researcher Trevor Loudon, New Virginia Majority is a front group for Liberation Road, which used to be named Freedom Road Socialist Organization. Writing in the Epoch Times, Mr. Loudon said that this group comes out of the militantly pro-China American Maoist student movement of the 1970s. Now, while it's more discreet about its Chinese loyalties these days, he writes, several of its leading supporters maintain close ties to the People's Republic of China. Ms. Nguyen wrote an op-ed in the New York Times just after the November election results were in, detailing her organization's activities in flipping the state from red to blue. She wrote, on Tuesday night, Virginia Democrats won their most consequential election in decades. After obtaining a majority in both houses of the General Assembly, Democrats now have a governing trifecta for the first time since 1993. This is no accident. It comes in the midst of a generational political shift that was put in motion years ago. Virginia's Democrats got where they are today as a result of year-round community organizing and voter engagement. She continues, local organizations like mine understood the political potential of Virginia when we got started 12 years ago. We are winning because we recognize the power of an electorate that includes and reflects the diversity of our state. We don't talk to voters only when campaign season rolls around. We try to reach voters of all colors, women, low-income workers, and young people where they are, which has made it possible for us to develop a robust base of support along Virginia's so-called urban crescent, from Northern Virginia to Hampton Roads. Long before Election Day, we registered more than 300,000 voters, knocked on more than 2.5 million doors, and organized within communities of color to help win significant policy changes like Medicaid expansion, which covered nearly 400,000 people. She continues, I don't say this to brag about our organization, but to make the case that this type of year-round organizing can pave the way for victory nationally. The restoration of voting rights provides another example. Virginia's state constitution bars anyone with a felony conviction from voting until their rights have been restored by the governor. For more than 9 years, we organized formerly incarcerated women and men to help them demand that their full civil rights be restored. The former governor, Terry McAuliffe, restored the voting rights of more than 173,000 Virginians during his term. more than any other governor in Virginia's history. In 2016, of the nearly 20,000 men and women who registered to vote for the first time as a result of the restoration of their rights, a whopping 79% voted. They were a key voting bloc in Virginia, the only southern state that Hillary Clinton won. The New American reported that this and other similar groups are working within as well as outside of the Democratic Party to flip states toward the left with the goal of using this Democratic control as a transitional stage toward communist control. These groups are finding it easier and easier to gain traction simply by promising items that a nanny state could provide for them and then delivering them when they're in office. So how much of a threat are these groups? Well, in our New American magazine from February 17, 2020, Mr. Loudon wrote, "The Republican Party seems oblivious to a major threat developing in its southern stronghold. Pro-China communists from the Liberation Road group are working to flip Republican-held states in the South one by one." And after pointing out that Virginia has already fallen, Loudon went on to write, "North Carolina, Florida, and Tennessee are next on the list. If the communists can flip toss-up states, Florida and North Carolina in 2020, President Donald Trump will likely be a one-term president and the Republican Party will be finished as a national force." And with the short-term tanking, of the U.S. economy and the hype over the coronavirus, this provides a large opportunity for government to step into unconstitutional territory to not only promise solutions, but with bipartisan support to see it carried through. And prior to President Trump, the Republican Party was certainly struggling to find its direction. Just elect enough Republicans and everything will be okay seemed to be their strategy. Yet, when government was handed to them, what happened? Absolutely nothing. Republicans promised a series of investigations, yet these were and still are delayed. Republicans squandered their time in power and helped to maintain the grasp that big government continues to hold on the American Republic. Now, to give Trump some credit, at least he persuaded them to cut business regulations and taxes. But even he eventually gave away enough American sovereignty by supporting globalist trade deals like the United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement, which will certainly grow unaccountable government. And when it comes right down to it, the majority of Americans are voting for the candidate or the party that grows and uses the government to their benefit. But before we conclude, let us point out that there is hope. The left is fantastic at organizing. They have demonstrated that a small cadre strategically situated in a local area can produce big results as long as they are dedicated enough to stick to it. To beat them, they must be out-organized. Unfortunately, the Republican Party has not organized against this threat, but the John Birch Society is. Now, the John Birch Society doesn't endorse political parties or candidates, but we do organize the grassroots in all 50 states to work on a plan of restoring the American Republic. We are active in communities across the nation, engaging like-minded Americans with educational materials to build a responsible, action-oriented foundation of knowledge that sees beyond politics. Now, to give you an idea of how this educational plan is implemented, let us give you one small example. Throughout this video, we have been quoting extensively from the New American Magazine's February 17, 2020 print issue. This issue proved so popular that it quickly sold out since it was focused on saving the Second Amendment. Now, we reprinted a few of the Second Amendment articles into one reprint called Saving the Second Amendment, and of course the article that exposed the election influence of the pro-communist Chinese into another reprint called Communist Winning Elections. Members and supporters then purchased these reprints in bulk to hand out to other concerned Americans in their communities, who will hopefully be convinced to do the same as well as to join the organization and become an active member, partaking in this as well as many other activities to help raise an organized, educated electorate. Now, we price these reprints so it's economical for nearly all to get involved. For instance, these reprints are priced between 30 cents and 40 cents a piece depending on how many are purchased. So let's just say you purchase 25 of them. You're looking at spending about $10 plus shipping and handling. So it's not a huge investment in money, but we do ask an investment of your time to engage with people within your circle of influence. So if you're interested in protecting and restoring the American Republic, then you can help by handing out these reprints. So be sure to read these articles free online at thenewamerican.com, as well as purchase these at shopjbs.org. Now, links are included in the video description, so please share them far and wide. And please like and share this video with others. And until next time, we'll see you then.